Welcome to today's Explainer. I really want you to think of our time together today as a session with a thoughtful mentor, someone who's just here to help you look ahead. For decades, the whole conversation around retirement has been fixated entirely on numbers. We're talking portfolio balances, pension checks, Social Security, the whole shebang. But we are going to look at retirement a little differently today. It's not just the end of your career. It is a deliberate, beautiful, and entirely new beginning.
So I want you to really imagine this for a second. For 30, maybe 40 years, your work has given you way more than just a paycheck. It's given you a rhythm, a solid identity, and a structured sense of purpose. So what happens when that Monday morning commute just ends, when the alarm clock stops ringing? Actually, a lot of new retirees describe feeling totally unmoored, kind of like a ship suddenly cut from its dock. That simple question, so what do, suddenly becomes a whole lot harder to answer. My challenge for you today is to find an identity that goes way, way beyond your professional career.
To help shift our perspective a bit, let's look at how we measure our remaining time. We usually measure life in years, right? But what if we measured it in experiences? Say you're 34 right now, and you live to be 90. You might only have about 60 winters left to experience. To put that into perspective, you might literally only have about 60 Super Bowls left to watch.
When you map it out like this, you realize you don't have this endless ocean of time. Think about it. If you read about 5 books a year, you actually only have to choose 300 books out of all the millions of books in the world before you sign off for eternity. You might have about 700 more chances to eat pizza, and if you grab Chinese food a couple of times a month, well, you have a whole lot of dumplings left for sure, but it's still a finite number. Viewing our time as a finite set of events, rather than just an endless blur of years, creates this truly inspiring urgency to spend that time purposefully. Okay, let's dive into this. When you don't have an office to go to or a boss to report to, what is your reason to get up? Without a deep personal purpose, retirement can so easily slip into monotony regardless of how comfortable your finances are. You absolutely need something to fill those open days with vibrancy.
Now let's turn our financial assumptions completely upside down for a minute. A lot of people are terrified of running out of money, and standard economic models suggest we should basically just draw down our assets steadily until we pass away. But when we look at the actual data, we see this retirement consumption puzzle in action. Wealthy retirees actually spend down their assets much, much slower than anyone expected. They totally deviate from the theoretical models and hold on to substantial wealth very late into life.
We also see that institutional rules heavily dictate how you use your money. It's fascinating how individual retirement accounts, or IRAs, retain their value super smoothly until retirees hit their mid-70s. Why is that? Well, because that is exactly when required minimum distributions, or RMDs, trigger. These institutional tax rules heavily dictate the pace of wealth decumulation across the board.
And this brilliantly illustrates the immense value of really understanding your money. The data clearly shows that high financial literacy is an incredible advantage. People who understand concepts like compound interest, inflation, and risk diversification actually accumulate more assets late in life, they take on less debt, and they draw down their wealth way slower. Astonishingly, 40% of the highly financially literate group actually continues accumulating assets well into their late 70s. This level of literacy just offers immense peace of mind.
But as your mentor on this journey, I really need to tell you that hitting a specific portfolio number is absolutely not the end goal. Financial planning simply removes the fear of running out of money. It ensures the heat stays on and the bills are paid, right? But once that fear is out of the picture, it allows you to finally focus on the things that actually bring true, lasting joy.
Let's see how this builds into our central concept today. Think of your retirement like an architect's blueprint. The left side, your portfolio, your taxes, your bills, that is just the foundation. It keeps the house standing. But the right side, your relationships, your purpose, your joy, your hobbies, that is the interior furnishing. That is the warm light coming through the windows. Without the interior, you just have an empty, cold structure.
If we want to furnish that house and make it a home, we have to look at what matters most. There's this famous Harvard study that tracked people for literally decades to find out what creates health, success, and happiness. And their conclusion? Relationships are the #1 greatest predictor of a good, healthy life.
Your financial plan might buy you a first-class ticket to France, but honestly, what's Paris without someone to sip wine with at a little corner cafe? What is a bucket list trip if there's no one to share the photos with afterward? Isolating yourself makes even the most spectacular goals feel incredibly hollow.
Without intentional effort, you lose those casual, everyday connections of the workplace, which is exactly why building a community is so vital.
To help structure this massive new chapter, let's look at this brilliant concept developed by George Valiant called the keeper of the meaning. This is a stage of adult psychosocial development that generally spans ages 60 to 75, and it just beautifully reframes aging. It's not a decline, it is a dignified, developmental promotion to becoming a keeper of wisdom.
Think about it. Earlier in life, our generativity is usually focused on caring for very specific individuals, our kids, our immediate team at work. But stepping up as a keeper of the meaning means expanding that focus. It gives you this formal vocabulary to really understand your evolving, broader role in society. You are moving toward focusing on justice, wisdom, and preserving the collective good of mankind.
So, I ask you, what knowledge or experience do you have that someone else out there desperately needs? You have a lifetime of skills, successes, and failures too. Channeling all those rich experiences into a new identity as a mentor or a community pillar is exactly how you bring this keeper of the meeting stage to life.
Because let's be real, the alternative is risky. As Columbia University professor John W. Rowe points out, isolation is toxic. It engenders a loneliness that the U.S. Surgeon General has actually deemed a full-blown epidemic. But the good news? This toxicity can be deeply mitigated just by interacting and engaging with your community.
And guys, the benefits of that community engagement are absolutely staggering. A 2025 study published in Social Science and Medicine proved that giving back as a volunteer isn't just a nice thing to do. It has profound physical effects. It lowers hypertension and chronic inflammation. It improves your sleep and stress regulation. It fends off cognitive decline. Volunteering literally makes you feel biologically younger and stymies the aging process. No way, right? But the science backs it up.
If you want to tap into this, United Way offers some incredibly actionable advice so you don't accidentally turn volunteering into just another stressful 9-to-5 job. First off, start with your passion, not out of some heavy sense of obligation. Second, test the waters with short-term opportunities just to see if the organization is actually a good fit for you. And third, use what they call the ladder of engagement. Basically, advance your responsibilities strictly at your own pace.
You really have to remember that this is entirely on your terms. Traditional work, that was all about obligation, fixed schedules, and brutal commutes. Modern volunteering is driven by passion and flexible hours. There are even remote options now. If you are, say, a retired accountant, you can donate your expertise to help a nonprofit manage their budgets literally from your living room couch.
The social rewards of jumping into this are amazing. Take the story of Dr. Vito Sessa, for example. He was a retired pediatrician who, admittedly, wasn't naturally very social, but he decided to start a 12-week mentoring program for fathers called Jumpstart for Dads. By just stepping slightly out of his comfort zone, he broke down these social silos and built incredible intergenerational bonds. He ended up forming unexpected, deep friendships with people he never in a million years would have met otherwise, including a retired truck driver who he now shares pretty much everything with.
You see, the happiest retirees are the ones who flat out refuse to just drift. A truly fulfilling retirement requires active engagement. You must keep stretching your comfort zone. You got to keep learning new things to satisfy your curiosity. And you have to keep intentionally building your community.
So the crucial point is this. Your wealth is just a tool. It's the solid foundation that keeps the house stable. Use that wealth to buy the freedom you need to actively craft a life filled with real purpose, deep relationships, and continuous growth.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with one final thought to reflect on as you sit down and design your own personal blueprint. When you strip away the job title you held for all those decades and you strip away that portfolio balance you've worked so incredibly hard to build, who do you want to be in your next chapter?